Tell me who are you, boss? Getting down to the truth when the blue comes off.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Deshonda Carter, but you can call me DC. Thanks so much for tuning in to When the Blue Comes Off. Today we are here with my special guest, none other than the beautiful, amazing Jennifer Clarke Eskew. I did it right? Did I do it
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So thank you so much for coming on today. You know, this is all about empowering women and especially in law enforcement, right? And we
Thank
had a
you.
little
Yes.
we had a little conversation about that prior to coming on live. So brief introduction. Well, there's nothing brief about this bio. Let's just get that straight. There's nothing brief about this bio. So tell the people what made you want to get into law enforcement special agent, retired special agent.
I
I didn't tell y'all that part. Retired special agent.
retired.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a very small farming community in the South, and you watch TV and you see things, but you didn't really. I never saw female police officers anywhere. Went to college, kept thinking about getting into law enforcement, but it was like, you know, you never see any females, so I don't know. And it just kept gnawing at me. And finally, it was like, okay, that little spark is trying to take off as a flame, and I need to get into it. So I had a little chat with my dad, and this part's in the book, but um, really, I just was telling him what I was thinking about doing, and I was waiting to kind of get a negative, like he would like, no, you don't need to be doing that. And instead, he thought about it, and for like 2 of the longest minutes on the planet, and then finally he said, if you're going to do it, you need to go with the state police, and this is in Virginia. And I got thrown back, and I'm like, they don't hire women. And he goes, yes, they do. They have to. It's federal law. And he goes, I said, well, have you ever seen one? He goes, no, but that doesn't mean you can't be one. He goes, if you want this, you go for it. And that's what got it going. I started applying. The next thing you know, I was in the academy.
So
That was
what part of
1986.
86? Wow. You know where I was in 1986? I'm not going to even tell you. So let me ask you, what part of Virginia?
I grew up in a little town called Kimbridge, but when I became a trooper, they assigned me to Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and Portsmouth, that four-city area. And I had gone to Old Dominion as a college student, so a lot of my friends were right there, and I was very happy I could still be around them.
Okay.
Man.
Did you have to ever arrest any of them?
No, I didn't. They were well behaved, and their parents would be so glad to know that.
Okay, that's good to know. So it wasn't something that was underlying, like, background, family history. It was just something
No.
that you saw in your town of Virginia that was like, wait a minute, I don't see any women here, and we need to change that.
Sort of something like that. I just kept thinking, hey, I can do this. I mean, I want to do this. Do they let women do it? And then it was like, okay, they do. And all right, I'm just going to go do it. And my dad has always said that if they landed a rocket ship in the front yard, that I wouldn't be asking. I'd just be getting on and going. And that was just me, that I was going to go do it. If it was something I set my mind to, I was going to go do it. So,
You're Spitfire.
yes, ma'am.
So what was your mother's reaction?
Mama was pretty good about it. I mean, she was one of those people that did a lot of things, and even though she was the homemaker, she also had a beauty shop. She also helped my dad with the farming. She did all these things with her church. So she was, and our Girl Scout troops. She was always very fully involved throughout her whole life. She really just stayed very active and always stayed busy. She was not a TV person. She liked to be doing things and be engaged with people and helping and serving her community. And so I think part of that law enforcement of the protecting part, I had that, the big sister, the protector thing going on. But then there was also the serving or helping people and doing things for them. And because I was raised in a community where people did that for each other, and you grew up around my parents doing that and my close family, my grandparents, aunts and uncles, you just kind of carry that over, and you want to do that. You want to help people out.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping us out because we all need a little help, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's get into this career. Now, you did 32 years.
Yes, ma'am. That's
I
that
don't know.
seems
I
it
did my
seems like
20 and
forever.
got out. Like, I don't know how you could even do 32 years as a, well, let's just run it down as a state trooper. But everybody kind of knows what the state trooper job is. But I'm so interested in how you became part of the ATF. Like, that is, I know you have to have stories about the ATF. Like,
I got a few.
so
Um,
tell me, out of the two ranks that you had between doing the state trooper's job and the ATF, because we're going to elaborate on both, but which one was your favorite?
oh my. I guess it has to do with the time period in your life, and at that time, in my early 20s, being a trooper, and everything that involved, and that being in the late 80s, that was terrific. That was awesome. I spent my last year though as a trooper, full time undercover. So that was a very different and unique experience. And I had been applying to different areas, looking to try to become a special agent. And I was looking at that both with the state police as well as federal agencies. And ATF offered me the job in 1990. Part of the reason they offered that job to me was though that I had been at that time extremely successful at the undercover work, and I think they saw that and said, "Hey, hey, I think she applied with us 3 years ago. Maybe we need to take a look at that again." And
Right.
so I got offered the job. I took the job, and within a year of doing training and kind of getting adjusted to their stuff, I graduated the ATF Academy, and 2 weeks later, I was back to working undercover. Doing the undercover with them. I love my work with ATF, and of course, I was there for 28 plus years. And I would say that part of my life, covered a lot more time than the state police did, but I loved it. And the other thing would be is I had a chance to make a lot more friends and to learn so much more because of the amount of time I spent with ATF, but also the kind of work I got into because I saw something while I was at the academy that I wanted to do, the ATF Academy. I wanted to get into investigating arsons and bombings. And I had that opportunity to get on with their national response team and then become certified in explosives as a specialist, as well as becoming a certified fire investigator. And that gave me a great opportunity to not only travel the country, but also parts of the world that I normally would not have gotten to see, to both investigate as well as to train other people in those fields. So everything from let's see, the 1996 Centennial Park bombing. I was there working with that, and Salt Lake City bombing during the Olympics in 2002 that people don't know about. I was at 9/11 with the Pentagon. Was there for several weeks working there. In 2005, part of my training allowed me to go to Iraq to help out on the presidential's regime crimes liaison office and do work there for 90 days. Um, let's see,
So in
a
these
lot of different
fields,
things. I got
right?
to do a
So
lot. Yeah.
in this area, I think you said that there weren't many women, or you may have been the first woman in undercover in that unit at the time.
With the state police, I was the very first woman to become a full-time undercover trooper. That was a two-step increase in pay, which was probably another, I don't know, $70 or $80 a month.
A month?
Yeah, a
Did you say
month.
a month? Oh
Yes,
my
yes,
God.
ma'am, a month.
But I'm pretty sure that the men were getting paid twice that.
Well, if you were an undercover trooper, that's all you got. You got the grade. You had your grade as a trooper, but your step increase had gone up too. That's just how it was. You were this grade, this step. Um, and they offered it to me. They go, no, this is not a promotion. This is just a two-step increase in pay. It's a
Mm.
1 year detail, and I said, well, where am I going? Well, we don't know. I was like, okay.
Well, being
Sometimes
young and in your 20s, it doesn't really matter, right? You were up for the
I
challenge.
I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's go. It's time for me to be somebody else, and I actually became somebody else. I got a new name, new date of birth, social security number, card. It was mine, undercover apartment.
Really?
Oh yeah. And so you have to be really careful with what you wish for in life. But it was interesting, and I write about it in the book because It involved gangs, street gangs. It involved a
Hmm.
lot of people that were armed, and a lot of gun trafficking and things were involved. But of course, a lot of drugs, cocaine, crack, and heroin were the three primary. But I also ended up buying drugs from Mennonites during that time too.
For
So
who?
the Mennonites, they're similar to the Amish, but not quite the same.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. And I
So
actually,
I don't want to jump because I really want to get into the book, but at that toward the latter part. But this is so exciting to know that, you actually lived a whole year undercover
yes,
as a
ma'am.
woman, someplace where you had no familiarity with the people, right? Because we couldn't have you in the same
No,
area
you
because then they would
no,
know you, right? So you were
you're.
shipped off.
I moved in as a total stranger, and the city department that we were working with, they brought a young gal, great gal. I go, her undercover name was Jessica, but they brought in Leslie. That was her real name. Um, she had gone to the academy. They had kept her over at dispatch working for a couple of weeks until we got started on the assignment, and then we went in. Um, and we started off trying to work together, and unfortunately we were getting invited to parties and guys wanting to go out with us, but they weren't really, it wasn't working out to like trying to buy the drugs and to learn more about the organizations that we were there to target. So we were able to split up. We lived together, but she ran with a group of people and I ran with a group of people, and we were able to do much more work, like double the amount of work that anybody first perceived, and then after that it was triple, quadruple, and we both started having a lot of success with it. And people just saw us as cousins who were living together over in one of the housing projects, and that they assumed we were harmless, and it was like okay. And so then our biggest thing was we were targeting the people who were the dealers, and sorting out who was who and who was trafficking in the guns and who was using guns in their business, and um, who was more of a danger, and also sorting out who's what part of which gang. Figuring out with different players and different gangs, where were they getting resupplied from? Because most of them were getting their stuff out of New York or New Jersey and bringing it down to Virginia, and then
That was a
trafficking.
big thing back in that time during
Yeah.
the 80s,
Oh
especially
yeah,
80s and
very
90s. Yeah.
much. And then
Hmm.
running the guns back north, because back then they preferred Tech 9 millimeters, and that was a popular gun for them.
So I don't know if the questions will kind of go back into the book without going into the book. So basically, guys, I have to tell you, right? We're going to talk about her book, but she keeps
Yeah.
referring to the book, but I wanted to get into the book afterwards. But before we get into that, as we discussed about women in law enforcement,
Right.
just in general, what is your perception in terms of, is it still a good old boys club, or do you think that the women are now making strides? Or
Okay.
would you say that you've come much further, it's come much further from when you were first starting out?
It's come a lot further, but we can do a lot better. Um, Now I see this close up every day, and the reason being is I have taken on a part-time job with the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
where they are sending a lot of federal law enforcement, as well as state and locals are going through, and tribal and international. But a lot of new law enforcement classes are going through right now, and it's what they're calling a surge of hiring. And I always make it a point to just count in the different classes for the different groups how many females I've got. If I've got a class of 24 students, do I just have one female or none? Or am I looking at 6 or 7 or even 10 or 12? What I've been seeing here lately are quite a few more females in all the classes. And that gives me some hope that we're going to get past what I call the 12%. When I started in law enforcement, women in law enforcement were just below the 7% number of being in the total of the nationwide U.S. law enforcement members. Women were just under 7% of that whole total. Right now, it's running somewhere between 12 and 13%. I want to be where that number goes higher, giving more women more opportunities to get promoted, to get advanced through the ranks, to lead organizations. I do see and have seen over the last 15 years a lot more females that have become chiefs of police, sheriff's department. They've been elected sheriff or maybe the major, or deputy chief. I'm seeing that.
What
Federal law,
about in Virginia? Because Virginia
yeah,
is one of these states. Now,
yeah,
let me tell you,
goes back and forth.
I'm telling you one, and this is my one quick story about Virginia. And I was on the job at the time, and I was driving down south with a friend of mine's family reunion down. I think I don't know where we were going, maybe Alabama, wherever we were going, and his cousin was a NYPD officer, so I was corrections, right? So I was in my vehicle with my friend, and he was in his vehicle, and we were flying down 95. When I tell you flying, I mean flying. We were doing over 100 easily.
Oh, Lordy.
Yes. So let me tell you how the trooper pulled us over, and I've never seen this done. The trooper pulled both of us over. He pulled us both over, took both of our IDs, and said, follow him to the jail, right? We had to follow him. And we followed him, and we got these tickets. They let us go. We got these tickets, but they said anything over 100 was mandatory jail. It was like, what?
Yeah, there are some of the counties. It's not the whole state, or it may be the whole state now. I don't know about the law at this current time, but there were several of the counties and the cities that started doing because the judges kind of pushed it. They wanted it, that if it was 100 or more, that they wanted the person brought in, and they wanted to look at. And so I think some of the laws changed both for county, city, but I don't know if the state law actually changed or not. I live in Georgia, but I do know that they got into that because it was like anything over 100, bring them in. Because even when I worked in the 80s in the city of Portsmouth, Judge Elliott, I loved that man. He was a nice man. He would always want two kinds of drivers brought in. Like if they were driving with a suspended driver's license, he was like, take them to the magistrate and force them to have to bond out. Which, a lot of times you didn't really have to do that, but that's what he wanted. You're going to do what the judge tells you. The other thing would be that if they were doing 100 miles per hour or more, he was like, no, arrest them. I'm not going with signatures, arrest them. And so you would have those. And he had a special place on his docket for those people. And it was like, ooh, he was serious, because he would tell them, when you come back, because he would let them know about, getting an attorney and all. When you come back before me, bring your toothbrush. And he was serious. We're like, ooh, Judge. And
he said, you staying tonight. You going to stay tonight.
He gave out the speech of, when you come back. And you were like, oh, and you'd see people just like, but he goes, I don't want to hear it right now. Wait till you have that attorney you told me you're getting, and bring your toothbrush. And it was like, oh my. And he was serious on that. And I've heard a couple other people that tell me that, they've been caught at 104, 112, things like that. So yeah, they do get very, the laws there have gotten crazy. I want to say crazy and not crazy. It's you know how it is. It's in the mix. You're like, oh geez, that's pretty tough. And you're going, you used to be able to just sign for that. Yeah, it used to be. And I don't know if the state law changed on it, but I do know that the cities and the counties, and you're kind of stuck with whatever the judge tells you.
You are. And Virginia is a tough state. It is definitely. I still think they operate under Commonwealth. They do what they want to do down there. So don't get caught speeding, guys, going down 95.
Don't do that. Everything, and definitely don't do it when you come down to Georgia, because they'll tell you, these Georgia troopers, they will chase you to the ends of the earth and back, and they will pitch you. They will put you in a ditch.
Oh my goodness!
They got them down here trying to outrun them all the time, and it's almost like a game. And it's like, your video is going to end up on YouTube, but you're going to be lucky to survive it if you end up getting pitted at a high rate of speed.
Absolutely, it's very dangerous. I mean, and not to to my fault, I shouldn't have been driving as fast, but sometimes you're just on the open road and you're like, there's nobody out here.
Yes, it feels good.
The speed limit say 75, and because the 95, you can go a little higher, I think 75 or whatever. So when you come from New York, they done changed ours. Please, you can't. I think most local roads are like 30, so nobody's driving. And then the crazy thing is the car companies keep making the cars where you can do 120, 140. Like,
yeah,
why would they do that? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think they give people that feeling because it's like, yes, you can buy a car that goes really fast. You can buy a McLaren. You can buy all kind of things that can go really fast. You just don't have a place that you can drive them like that. It's like, they go, okay, well, let's get out west. It's like, well, you get out west, you can drive a little more, but not much.
Right. And it's a safety issue too. At the end of the day, we do have to be safe.
Yeah.
Going those rates of speeds is only could lead into, death, accidents. So we don't want that.
I think what always is the thing I've always seen, it's not that, it's the drug couriers, the traffickers that are willing to run 100. And it's like, why are you drawing attention to yourself?
That doesn't even make sense.
I mean, if the speed limit is 75, hang about 77 and seem like the rest of the traffic out there, and don't draw attention to yourself, and don't get in a road rage with anybody. Don't do the things that get you pulled over. And instead, you're always hearing about the traffickers. It's like, what did you get pulled over at? Oh, 101. You're like, why?
And I'm sure the music was blasting, and I'm sure it was a flashy car. They don't even do it. They don't even do it with discretion. They don't drive the little Toyota anymore. They're driving a Tesla with the music blasting, or now what's the Elon's car? What's his little Cybertruck?
The little Cybertruck, yeah.
The Cybertruck. They're doing it with that.
It looks like a wedge to me. I mean, it's a little silver wedge.
It's not very appealing to me either.
No. And they started making them in colors now, and I'm thinking, it's still not pretty.
No, it'll never be pretty. It'll never be pretty. But we're gonna go back to your best day on the job. The one day that stays in your mind that you will absolutely never forget.
Oh, shoot. Best day on the job. I remember all of the days and stuff. I don't know. I think you get used to so many things and you have so many great days and stuff. I think the biggest thing is when somebody unexpectedly would thank me, and they would do it in such a way that it wasn't just like, thank you. I mean, actually have someone to like reach out and want to hug you and thank you, and be like very demonstrative of what was going on, and let you know how much you had helped them out, and you weren't expecting it, and you didn't even realize you were helping them out at the time. You were just doing your job and trying to handle a situation, and then to find out how much they think about that. And I had people that came back years later. In fact, I arrested a young lady. Lisa Perry was her name. I arrested her after it was an undercover deal that went wrong. We were supposed to be taking them. They were supposed to take them down and arrest them after we did the undercover. That went badly. We ended up in a high-speed chase. That lasted for quite a while. We chased them down. We caught them. And everything went through the process, through the federal courts, got everything done. And it's like 5 years later, something comes up, and I had to go and interview her at her request. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, she wanted to show me how much better her life was and thank me for it, and fixing me a glass of tea, which down in the South, that's a big deal.
Was it sweet tea or hot tea?
Sweet tea.
That's right.
Yes, I am. So it was that thing. It was not expecting that. I didn't even understand why I was being sent to deal with this. And they said, no, I'm thinking, that case is old. That's long ago. She's already served time. Why am I going back? And they said, no, she's asked for you. Okay. And I couldn't believe it. She wanted to show me pictures of her kids because she had them back and she was raising them now. And she hadn't been using drugs now for 5 years. And her life had turned around. And she was thanking me for giving her life back to her. And I just arrested her. I did the undercover and I arrested her. I didn't know that it meant that to her. But it meant a lot to her. And she wanted to make sure I knew it. But I've had a couple of people that have written me letters and just thanked me for, showing up, getting them out of their car after it overturned, stuff like that. And okay. And he just kind of like, that's what I was supposed to do. That's what I was supposed to do. That's what I was there for. I wouldn't have left him in a car. I wouldn't have left him out there to get hurt or something to happen to him. So yeah, I think those are the best days from the job, without a doubt. The other times are when you're with your friends and you're just cutting up and laughing, and something's going good. And,
After work activities, huh?
yeah, or just even on the job, just something that's just really funny, and you're just laughing together, and you're with somebody that you actually appreciate being around.
Okay, so if I asked you what was your best day,
Yeah,
what was your worst day?
there's a lot of those. Um,
Which the one that resonates comes right to the brain right
the
now?
first one that comes to the mind is a teenager that died with me after a bad wreck. That was that was that was super hard. But that one always gets me. I don't forget it. You know.
Well, I didn't
Excuse
mean
me.
to.
Excuse
I
me.
didn't
No, no,
mean to
no.
bring
It's
that
okay.
up.
It's okay. Uh, yeah, and then I lost some friends on the job too. I was in my classroom teaching back in 2013, and uh, ex-boyfriend from years ago, because I'd been married for a long time. He texted me out of the blue, and you know how you get one of those kind of texts going, "What the hell? What are you doing?
he was
What?
thinking about you, girl.
Why in the world is he texting me?" And of course, my students are coming in. This is ATF trainees, and they're coming in and they're wanting to. I'm getting to teach arson class for them. Got a 2-week program. I'm looking at this text going, what is this? And I'm like, but he was asking me a question. And so I answered. I was like, did you work in Dinwiddie when you were, probating? And I said, yeah. So yes. And I'm thinking whatever. And all of a sudden my brain clicked, and I realized, oh, this isn't good news. This is bad. And I'm starting to try to put in that little smartphone, like, Dinwiddie County, Virginia. I'm trying to figure out what's happened there. And my field training officer, my FTO, he was shot and killed in an ambush that day. His name was J.A. Walker, Junius Walker. He was a really nice man. He was 63. He was less than 90 days away from retiring with 40 years on the job. And the guy was faking that his car was broke down, and he had an AK-47. And when J.A. pulled over and was going to help him, he just lit his car up, and J.A. never had a chance. He never got a chance to get out. He never got a chance to do anything to anything. And J.A. had been really nice to me and kind to me when I started out in the job as a trooper. And he had given me some great advice when I got started in the job. So I always considered him a friend. And that was hard. And then there's just the incidents of bombings and arsons that took the lives of people, and having to dig through the rubble and find what you can find to recover the bodies and the remains. And that always kind of sticks with you. It just does.
So, with that being said, psychologically, right? People
Yes,
do
ma'am.
not
Mm,
think that law enforcement officers, right, have PTSD or have mental health issues.
I do.
So, with hearing just that, I know there has to be something in your mind that just cannot hold or withstand all that you have seen and endured.
Yeah, I got my PTSD diagnosis this past summer, and I kind of like, okay, like, all right. So I mean, because getting diagnosed doesn't change anything,
Right.
um, and I'm not looking for somebody to give me a magic pill to fix anything, because I know that doesn't work either. What I found that's kept me balanced is staying busy. And I heard somebody describe PTSD one time as LTSD, and the L stands for lack of traumatic stress disorder. And what they're referring to in the lack is, I I spent 32 years with at least 30 of it having to respond to things, having to deal with things, having to have my adrenaline and the dopamine and all kick in and go handle things. Especially those first several years, it was very much like that. And so I suddenly don't have that when you retire. That all stops. You've got a recliner and a TV and the pet dogs, and I got my husband, and it's like, okay, what are we gonna do today that's exciting? And the most exciting I can get is I get on my motorcycle and drive, and that helps some a little bit. We can get out on the boat maybe and try to that's a little bit of something, but there's that adrenaline that's missing. That maybe it's
That
the
rush.
maybe
It's
it's
the
the
rush.
purpose, and it's the rush. It's the rush and the purpose. It's that whole thing. It's just gone. And I love being retired. I wasn't gonna. I was good. But I did find that writing was cathartic. Writing about my work in my past, taking the reader on a ride along, basically, um, right through all of the events, and then um, I was offered an opportunity to come back part time to start teaching in the forensic sciences, and that's helped because, like I said, I get to see these bright young new faces that are wanting to get out there. They're eager to get out there. They want to do something. You know, they want to protect. They want to serve. They want to do these things. And it's like, okay,
Right.
and you see it and you pick up on it, and you see the ones that are just chomping at the bit, and it's like, okay, your day is coming, and that helps. But that maybe gives the purpose. And you have to realize that 63 now, the adrenaline things are maybe not so much.
So with all that adrenaline rush, is this
Yeah.
how you became fire?
Yes, ma'am. I took the little spark, and then other people helped to fan my flames and throw a little bit of fuel onto it. And every once in a while, somebody tossed a little gasoline in there, accelerated it a little bit. And then there were those people, because there's always those people, and I'm sure you encounter them every once in a while too, who try to snuff out your flame, who try to, and I'm not talking about bad guys. I'm talking
I'm
about
not.
people. I'm talking about people that you're around that seem
Absolutely.
they want to toss a little water on you. They want to pull the oxygen away from you. They want to take the fuel back and leave you where you can't succeed, or try to prevent you from growing into a bigger fire, becoming, because
All
you
all
can
while
blow out a
smiling.
candle. Yeah, you can. Oh yes, very much smiling. But you can blow out a candle. You can't blow out a fire.
That's true.
And the thing is, they're over there trying their best, and you have to hope, and you have to try to surround yourself with the people who are fanning your flames, that are making sure you're getting that oxygen and that fuel, and that they're right there. They're helping you. And I can't say that it was any one group of people that tried to hold me back, or one group of people that tried to advance me forward. I found great people everywhere I turned, and every once in a while I stumbled into one who was not so great.
Right, right,
and,
right.
and you have to try to figure out, is that smile real or fake? And
Absolutely, because
yeah,
I can definitely agree with you when it comes to that sentiment.
yes,
When you have to have those individuals who smile and you think
mhm,
they're there to cheer you on. And in the meantime, like you said, they're pulling the oxygen right from up out of you
yeah,
and draining you
yeah,
and talking bad about you and hoping
yeah,
that you don't succeed,
yeah,
right? But
exactly.
but
And
you
I think,
changed that around.
oh yes, ma'am. And I think the thing is, and I cover some of that in the book as well. But because you have to. I mean, I'm talking about trying to become this fire, and trying to be a fire instead of a spark. But I also um, was always surprised, and still am, at the very first person, once I got that badge, the very first person that I would encounter that would try to throw a stumbling block at me, and kind of see my flame go out, and it's like, okay, and then you
Was
kind
it
of,
a boyfriend?
no, no, no,
Oh, okay.
yeah, everything. But I think that's just one of those things, you just like, wow, okay. And then you see another one come along, and it's like, all right, I got to figure out how to handle this, you know, because I could sometimes be kind of pig-headed, strong, kind of run right straight into the wall.
It's a
Yeah,
woman's thing,
yeah.
that
There's,
sometimes we
yeah,
have to sometimes compensate. Just like, listen, don't play with me.
yeah,
Okay.
and you do get the frustration builds up for you. So you really do find yourself like, okay, you can't push back that hard. You got to find a way to get around this because all you're going to do is it's going to reflect poorly on you. You got to handle it different. So you take in the few breaths that you need because the fire needs oxygen, and you start planning. What do you have to do? How am I going to handle this? And how am I going to overcome? And then you find your way. But every time somebody does that to you, you find yourself,
You gotta
it's
take a
frustrating.
woosah moment. You gotta
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right, before I do
Mm,
something that's gonna put me behind these bars,
yeah.
let me take a break.
Yeah, yeah. Don't let them. I'm not gonna do something to make them where they take my badge away or lock me up. But at the
Right,
same
right.
time, I am not gonna put up with this shit no more. This is
Hey,
still, and you
say
put
it
your foot
again.
down. Yeah,
Say it again. I'm not
yeah.
putting up with this
I'm not
shit
putting up
no
with this
more.
shit no more. And you have to put your foot down. You have to finally just stand your ground, and you have to finally just stand back up to them and all. And once you do that, you get a good feeling from it, but you also start noticing that people that worked around you are kind of proud of you for finally stepping up and speaking up because they can't be your defender all the time. So they actually look at you and realize, okay, she's growing up, she's coming along, she's getting it, she
She's finding
understands,
her way. She's
she's
finding
finding
her
her
way.
way, and if she can handle this, then I know she's fine out there with whoever she's stopping on the side of the road or whoever she's having to go into a house and deal with, or where she's at in undercover because she is able to stand her own ground. She's not going to get hoodwinked anymore.
Hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are the words, and those are the nicer words for it, but yeah,
So, so for those of you who don't know or who haven't surmised yet, the book is called Becoming Fire that Jennifer has written. And as she was talking about, this was being helpful to her in her PTSD and just getting over all of the emotions that she had bottled up. She turned to writing. So explain to me, how'd you deep dive into that and what the book is actually about? We touched on it a little bit,
Okay,
but
no, that's fine. My book is okay. 2018, I retired. Everything was great.
retired in 2018 too.
Yeah, everything. And as it was, and here I am, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm 55, getting ready to be 56. My mom had just gotten diagnosed with dementia, but she was in the earlier stages. But she needed me or my sister and her husband, me and my husband, or my sister and her husband, to kind of look after her and make sure that she was going to be all right. And so we were like, hey, we'll split this up. Mom can live with us part time. She'll live with you guys part time, and we'll just do things with mom. And that's what we were doing. So we were, like, come on, mom, we're gonna get out on a boat. Come on, mom, we're gonna go on a cruise. Come on, mom, we're gonna go shopping today. She didn't care. If you took her to the grocery store, she was just as happy as she was on a cruise ship. Didn't matter. But she was always
Nice.
like that. She was always a happy person. So just doing these things, and so that was good. And she was in her mid 80s. So we were doing these things and getting out, and plus seeing her family, seeing her brothers and sisters, and her and my dad's remaining brothers and sisters. So she enjoyed those events and reunions and stuff. Uh, then unfortunately, dementia, you don't have a way of slowing it down or really changing it. So going through all of the stages, it eventually got to where it was too much for us to care for her. And COVID hit, all the different things were happening. And finally, we had to have her in a place where she could be looked after all the time. And we found a wonderful place. April Easter, I can't thank you enough. So, anyway, that's where she ended up, and she was there. And it was fantastic for her. It was fantastic for us to visit with her there. Despite COVID, we could still go because everyone realized that their loved one there, that this was their last place. There wasn't going to
Right.
be a cure. There wasn't going to be the next place. And so we all made an agreement on how we could go and visit and be with our loved one. And everybody held to that. And it was great for everyone. But in that time, when I was looking after my mom, and there wasn't really anything else going on. I was like, well, got to do something. I was like, well, let me dig out all that old stuff and see if I can write a book. I mean, how hard can it be? It can be very, very hard. It's a lot of work. But I started writing, and I talked to a lady who was like a book coach, and she said, "Send me a sample of your writing." And I sent her this one story, and she liked it, and she said, "You can write." And I was like, "Huh." I had a sergeant used to tell me I couldn't write at all. I said, "So thank you." And I said, "Let's see how this goes." Oh, I didn't want to make it sound like a police report. Nobody wants to read a police report. So, but I wanted it to be like somebody was on a ride along with me, and that you were right there with me through whatever I was going with, the whatever voices I was hearing in my head. Like, hey, you can't do this. Yes, you can do this. Or this is what you got to do. Any of those things. We all wake up with that voice of doubt that wants to kick in right when we're trying to do something.
All the time.
Yeah, but I wanted it. I wanted to be that way, and I wanted it to relate to people, and just like, okay, come on, today we're going to go out here and do this, sort of thing, and just that you're anxious to get in the car with me and do 100, and at the same time, you're anxious to find out why in the world I'm going back into a crack house that I shouldn't have gone in the first time. Now I'm going back a second time. I wanted them to know that, but there's other things in the book too, and so that's what I was writing from, and I got that out there. It was very cathartic, and then it was going through the editing process, and that was even more cathartic, and also a learning experience of how writing actually takes place and how a book is actually formatted. And right now, the cathartic part of the book is it's out and available since November 18th, and it's doing quite well. And I found myself in all these social media sites, which I was a Facebook, and texting with my grandkids. I didn't really have all this
So
other
your
stuff.
little technology challenge, is
So
that
now,
what you were trying to say?
yeah, now I'm all up in the social media and podcasts and interviews, and it's like I'm trying to learn. I'm getting a little better, but some days I'm not. Hey, go out and buy this light. I'm going, buy a what? Or the ring light, those things. Just like, oh, what's that? It's like, all right. And then they'll tell me, did you ever watch such and such on TV? And I was like, I think I was working through that decade. I don't remember that. And so that's been good. But also meeting people, having people talk to me about my book. Total strangers, because I have an author website, but total strangers writing me and or emailing me or posting to me messages and wanting me to know how much they liked the book and how much they enjoyed it and when am I going to write the second book and that sort of thing. And I'm like, ooh, well, this is fun. And then having all these people show up. My little small town of Cambridge and the neighboring town of Victoria, I did a book launch party there at the two little public libraries. Now, these are little towns. They're about 2 blocks long. And I'm not joking. One traffic light, two horse. They're always been small. And for people to tell me that they couldn't find parking anywhere on the street and had to circle a block 3 times, that made me laugh, but I was so busy having to sign books for so many people that had shown up in the library that I couldn't even go outside to see the street look that busy, and I wanted to. Friends took pictures, but it was just amazing to see so many people show up. My 97-year-old kindergarten/Sunday school teacher came, and
Amazing.
she had cut the article out of the newspaper that I was going to be home and doing the book signing, and it was so sweet of her. And then my Girl Scout leader, because when we were kids, the only thing you had besides working on the farm or going to school was Girl Scouts for the girls. And so she came, and I thought that was just tremendous for
Did
me.
you get all your badges?
I got a bunch, but I didn't get them all. But I got a bunch, everything. And I was actually, when I first got out of college, I was a Girl Scout leader for a year, and I enjoyed doing that. But yes, it was, and like I said, our Girl Scout leader took us backpacking and camping and trips and things. We did so much stuff, and horseback riding and raking leaves to earn money and having and just stuff. We stayed busy. Uh, so having all these people show up and support me, they were truly fanning my flames. They were there. that old saying about being raised by a village. Yes, I was raised by a village. Not just my parents, not just my family members, which my mom had a huge family, my dad had a huge family, so I had a very extended, large family. But then also our community. Everybody knew you when you grew up. Everybody knew what church you went to. You had to go to the same school because we all went to the same school. Um, you just knew everybody. When you went to somebody's house, if you did something you weren't supposed to do, trust me, your parents knew about it before you ever got back to the house. you know,
Oh, I know
yeah, yeah,
those stories.
yeah, and
So let me ask you, if I was to ask
yeah.
you, who is this book for? Who would you say, is it more geared for the law enforcement officer, or is it geared for the public, civilian staff, civilians?
I want it to be geared towards civilians, but I want it to be geared particularly to those people who want to enter a first responder type of career, whether it's law enforcement, firefighting, EMS, paramedic, or emergency room workers, uh, anything of that nature. I want it to be geared, and I know it's geared this way if people will read the book and take from the title and just how things are and the things I do in the book. If there's something you want to do and you want to be, and that little spark is in you and it's burning inside, go ahead, chase that passion. You know, if that's the thing you want, chase that passion and make it happen. Um, don't be afraid. You can do it. And don't worry about somebody telling you that you can't. That they're just trying to put your spark out. Don't let that happen to you. You can do whatever you want to do. So go out and do that. And you know, encircle yourself with people who are going to fan you flames. They're going to support you in it. And if there are young women out there, or even older women, I met a lady the other day. She is 57 and just got into law enforcement. Just graduated the police academy about 6 months ago. She's down in Florida, and it's something
Really?
she has
There's
always.
no age limit on in Florida, because I think here in
No,
New York, you think it's
yeah,
35 or
no,
something.
yeah, and well, even the federal has got an age limit, and then they got some stipulations if you had military and et cetera, for federal service back. But no, in this department that's hired her, there wasn't, and it's a pretty good sized department. Um, but she always wanted to do it, and instead, she had people telling her no, and telling her, you've got a family now. You need to be worried about your kids. You need to just let them. Well, her grown daughter is like, Mama, if this is something you want to do, go do it. So she was physically fit, and she went to the police academy, and she was perfectly fine. In fact, I think she was fitter than some of the 20-year-olds that were there. And she's gotten out, and she's doing the job, and she's bringing a different attitude to the job. You and I know 20-some-year-old women versus women who get a little bit older. I'm not going to pick an age, but let's just say 39 and above. Let's just right in there.
Okay.
We bring a little different experience into things and how to handle people and how to address people and a little step back of our view of things. Maybe I don't see things at 63 that I saw at 23, and maybe there's a
Absolutely.
different way for me to handle it. And I think that's out there. So I looked at it with her doing this stuff, and I'm like, good for you. You pursued something you always wanted to do. She said that fire burned in her for years, and she kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And then finally, it was her time. And now she's out there doing it, and I'm proud of her. It's like, you go. And so I want it to inspire people so they don't have to be 20 to read my book. It's okay to be 50 and say, you know what, I can do this. I'm going to get up off the couch and I'm going to get out here and start running, and I'm going to go try. I'm going to go see if I can be this.
Well,
And
that's the good thing
yeah,
about, if you have a family early on, a lot of times women tend to be pushed into the fact that um, you have to do the responsible thing and
yeah,
take care of the family, take care of the kids. If you're married, be a good wife, be at home.
yeah,
And they don't really get the opportunity to pursue their dreams, because the women tend to take a step back
mm-hmm,
into whatever their passion, whatever their fire was, to say, I
right,
can't do it.
right,
But if you maintain a great, fit mentally, physically,
yeah,
children grow up
Mm-hmm.
They move out, they go about their business. Sometimes divorce happens, sometimes you stay married, but the husband is still saying, babe, go pursue. Some people go back to school, they get
Mm-hmm.
doctorate degrees,
They do.
they get to step into what their actual passion was. So I agree with you when you say not to let the age deter you. And it has to be a very encouraging word to more women to let you know it's not too late. I'm in total agreement with you when it comes to that. It's definitely not too late. We have women that I've seen 90 years old who've gone to school with their children and graduated college and different things. So this should definitely be a strong testament of your will and that you can do all things that are possible.
You
Right?
can, and I don't want anybody to ever give up or believe that they can't pursue whatever that dream or that goal is. Um, you know, I I actually have it in my bucket list, and I want to try kite surfing.
What surfing?
Kite surfing. It where
Well, you go
you have
right
to
up
kite and
ahead.
you do. I would like to do
You
it
go ahead.
someplace tropical and not rocky and not cold water that sort of thing. But I do want to give it a try just so I can say
I
I
did it.
I did it. I tried it, and I tried hang gliding way back in the day. Recently, I took my grandson to one of those places called iFly,
Yes.
the indoor
It's an indoor. Yeah.
indoor stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'm not quite sure I want to skydive, and then there's a part of me that does, and then there's the other part of me going, I don't know, maybe not. And and then a friend of mine shows me pictures of where he went and did it, and my stepson showed me pictures of where he went and did it, and I'm like, oh, y'all are getting on my nerves. I'm gonna have to try this maybe. I drove at the Daytona racetrack. My husband arranged that for me a couple of years ago, and that was fun because it's been a long time since I got to drive 150.
But I was going to say that adrenaline rush must have kicked right on in. You was like, yes, I missed
It was
this.
great. It was great. The whole weekend I lived on that adrenaline rush, and it was just like, this is fantastic. And all, and he's like, yeah. He said, I thought you needed something, and I was like, well, this does it. So I like doing those things, and if I'm going to go do those things, and there's plenty of other women that can get out here and do those things too, and just go do them. Just go do them.
Well, that is amazing. So with that being said, you have this adrenaline rush because you say you have this motorcycle too,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So
Yes,
what type of motorcycle do you have? Because listen, I haven't been on a bike since I took the road test.
yeah.
Okay, I took the road test on a sport bike, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna get a sports bike. But at this age, I'm not hunching over anything. I think my back would
No,
just die. So, what are you riding these days? I know it has to be a Harley or
it's a
something
hard.
like that. Yeah, I knew
It's a
it.
hard.
I knew it.
Now there is a part of me that wouldn't mind having an Indian and stuff, but I'm in love with Cajun Baby. That's my bike. That's my bike's name,
Cajun baby.
Cajun Baby, because she came out of Metairie, Louisiana, down next to New Orleans.
Oh,
That's
so
where she's.
you went and really got a baby from
Yeah,
someplace.
I went and
Okay.
got my baby. I went and got my baby. She's cobalt blue and pearl white, and
Ooh,
I love her.
pretty.
Um, we have ridden together about 50,000 miles. Most of the United States, except for the far west coast and Hawaii and Alaska. Those are the only states I haven't ridden in, and much of Canada, but still not the far west or the far north of Canada. But I go with good friends and my husband. In fact, my husband and I met a biker rally in Cherokee, North Carolina back in 2006, right after I had gotten my motorcycle. And I was like, wait a minute, I get a Harley and I am free and I can do whatever I want to. And 3 weeks later, I meet a guy. Are you kidding me?
Well, that was to slow you down. You wasn't gonna go too fast.
But I started off on a little Honda. I took the lessons like I should because I used to be on the back of the bike all the time. And then that bike went away. When that bike went away and I didn't have anybody to ride on the back with, I was like, okay. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take the lessons. And I did. It was one of the nicest things I did for myself. I got the little Honda, put about 800 miles on it just through little back roads, got a much faster Honda. Not quite a crotch rocket or motor street bike, but kind of. It was a Honda VTX 1300. Love that bike. And
Big bike.
it would flat fly. it would roll. And I was like, nope, I'm going to probably get myself hurt doing this. It's like, don't do this. And the adrenaline was there. And then rode that for about 10,000 miles. And then the Harley entered my life, and I had to have her, and I got her. I love her to death. So I enjoy her quite a bit, and she does give me freedom. I do ride helmetless in states without helmets. I guess that's the adrenaline need or
I was getting
whatever.
ready to say, you need that rush for real, girl. You better
I
put that
do.
helmet on your head and stop playing before you get
Yeah,
a brain
I
injury.
know. And every once in a while, I'll get out here and I'll be looking at these really, really nice helmets, and then be like, okay, are you gonna wear it? Are you gonna wear
Yeah.
it? And it's like, well, I've got a helmet, and it's like, I want a new helmet, but then I don't want a helmet, and you're like, oh, okay, got, quit being ambivalent about it, protect your skull. But
Yes, we
yeah,
need
I
your
love it.
mind to keep putting out good stories and good books. So keep that brain covered, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. But where can they find your book? Please put all your
Okay.
social
Can I?
media handles
Yeah. Can
up
I show you
here.
my book?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. This is my book.
Just push it, angle it a little bit. So angle
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
There
Just
we
like
go.
that.
That's
So
it. It's
that
a little
is
light on it.
Becoming Fire
Right. Yep.
by
And that.
Jennifer Clarke Eskew.
Yep. And that is it. That's what it looks like on the cover. Right now, you can order it off of Amazon. It's right there, both ebook and the soft cover. Beyond that, it's on all the ordering platforms. So if you want to go to Walmart or Target or Barnes and Noble, or whether it's online or in person and order, you can order from them. Uh, as far as for me, I have a website, and it is www. My name, Jennifer, which is the common Jennifer. My middle name, which is actually Clarke, which was my former maiden name, and then a lot of people know me by that, so Clarke. And then my last name of Eskew, which is my married name, eskew.com. So www.jenniferclarke.sq, which is at the bottom down here. But
Yeah, we can see it.
that is it. And that's how you get to my website. It's an Arthur website. It's a place to order it if you want me to autograph it and send it to you, that sort of thing. But I just tell people, hey, it's on Amazon. And I've also got a local book retailer here that's now carrying it right on books on where I live. Um, I really appreciate them. They're the first ones to carry it. There's a couple libraries that have ordered it.
Nice.
If you can't afford my book, if you go to your public library and you tell them about my book, they have the ability to order it because they get it from the same place I do, and they get it at a library price, which is good. And then that book will be there at the library, and you didn't have to invest any money, and you get my book on the shelf, and I know that more readers get to read my book. When people say, oh, you got into writing a book because you wanted to make money. No, you don't. Trust me on this. It's a process, but it's not going to be in making the money, not unless Hollywood came looking for me, right? So that's a dream. So what it is my book is out there and people get to read it, and hopefully it inspires people to get out there and chase after the passions that they have.
I totally agree. That's
Right.
my mantra. Do it with
Yeah.
passion, baby. Do it with
Yep.
passion.
Go
So
for it.
before we close, I know we touched on it just a little
Mhm.
bit, but last words of wisdom, particularly for new or people who are thinking about coming into law enforcement.
Do it for the right reasons, and you know what they are. You will know it. It's in your heart. You know. And if it's nagging at you to get into something like law enforcement, then give it a try. If it ever gets to nagging at you to get out, then look around and see what else you wanted to be. Did you want to go into being a lawyer? Maybe. Do you want to go more into maybe like the medical field, nursing, paramedic, something like that? Maybe you see that. But if your heart is actually pushing you and that passion is burning in you and you think this is something for you, then yeah, by all means. And then when you're pursuing it, I tell you right now, be physically fit. Run. I'm not talking about 50 yards. I'm talking about get out and run. You don't have to be the fastest. I was never the fastest. Running is not my thing. But also strength train, hit, all those things. Be physically fit and stay physically fit, because that's the way you're going to be safest in the job. Listen to the people who want to train you, your field training officers, the people who are giving you instruction. They're giving you the best advice they can, because once you're out there, you're making your own decisions. They're your decisions. But don't be afraid of it because of something you hear or somebody say, oh no, you don't want to be a cop. If it's something you really want to be, you know it. It's in your head. It's in your heart. You feel it. Don't be afraid to give it a try. And you'll know differently. You'll know once you get into it how much you either really like it or you really don't. You'll know. But if somebody's promising you, hey, it's a sign-on bonus, you're going to make all this money, you're going to do all this, you're going to do all that, you do not go into law enforcement to get rich. It is not going to happen. I'm sorry. You may be the best paying department on the planet, and it's still not going to make you rich.
Well, thank you so much for being here,
Thank you.
Jennifer. I appreciate it. Guys, give it up. Wait, I got this new little thing. Let's see if it works. Let me see if it works, y'all. I don't think it's working. Wait, maybe it's my nail. Hold on. Y'all know I'll be wearing
I like that. I like that a lot. That's
so
excellent.
thank you so much for coming. I appreciate
Thank you.
you. I'm looking forward to getting the book myself. And as I said, women power all day, every day. They don't know what it is to be a woman, to do all the things that we have to go through and endure. And then for you to make it out after 37 years, 32, 37.
32.
32 years is a blessing that you're still here with us, right? Because we know plenty of people who did not make it. And for you to have retired and still be in the right mind, body, and physically fit and able, that's a blessing in itself.
Yes, it is.
So thank you again for being on. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to When the Blue Comes Off. And we will see you next time.